My, oh my, it feels like it's been an eternity since we've been out here in BR 51, but can you believe it's only been 2 weeks? Wow, time sure is flying. Okay, so we last left these hives when we were putting them in this deep box. They were originally in a nuke box and we put them in there 10 frames so they could start building that up. So we're gonna look in these and see if they actually started building up. Hopefully they did. I'm confident they did. I know these bees. And we have been on a little bit of a flow, nothing crazy, nothing substantial. We skipped a lot of our main flows this year. So we've just been getting in a little bit of a trickle, and I've also even heard that some people are starting to see goldenrod. Yeah, it is July 25th today, just to give you guys a little bit of reference. Goldenrod usually is not around already. But all right, let's start digging into these. This first hive is good old Jenny.
Run, Forrest, run!
Last time we were in here, we had put the mosquitoes out here are so bad. Okay, let me just hurry up and put this on. There we go. All better now. I am safe. So last time we were in this hive, we had put the 5 frames in and we did checkerboard a little bit. We did it a little different between the 2 hives that we did move into 10 frames, if you guys remember correctly. And that was so that we could actually see which way would work better. So let's see. Ooh, I got that on really tight. What we are working with. Well, I sure got a lot of propolis, that's for sure. And I saw we also have a little cocoon we're trying to protect. I don't want to kill, it's wiggling all over the place. I don't want to kill it, so I'm going to set it so that it can just hang. There we go. Oh, that is interesting. Look at this. Is it like hanging from like squirrel's fur? Or maybe that's, that looks like that was part of the caterpillar. That's interesting. All right, so first thing I see from looking at the top, it looks like they are all on these frames right here, which is cool to see. They are not on these 2 frames. Well, they're mostly just not on this frame. They are on this frame on the other side. And wow, they're really stuffing in some honey. Look at all of that comb they got up there on the top bars. All right, so this is only 8 frames since I have this feeder frame in here. That is what I love about them. All right, so first frame, completely empty. I'm just gonna start pulling out from this back side here. Got some honey they're bringing in right there. So we're gonna move that out to the feeder frame. Got a beautiful brood pattern. It looks like they have a lot of larvae and eggs on that side. Oh, look at that, yeah. And they're bringing in some honey. Honey, honey, honey. That's great to see. And if you guys remember, we had spaced in this frame in the middle for them to build out. We did this on July 7th, and look, it's not built out all the way. They're still working on it. And they got some brood on this side. But they are in fact building it out, which is nice to see. Ooh, wait till you guys see this next one. Gosh, at the rate this hive's going, we gotta be careful that it doesn't run away just like Jenny ran away on Forrest all the time.
Forrest.
Look at that brood pattern. That's beautiful. This one's a frame that they're all emerging on right now. So this is what you want to see when you put a nuke into a colony. You want to see this sort of growth. And this can happen even in July, like I said. It doesn't have to happen in April or May. They can build up and be ready in time for winter in a single, which actually would probably be a good idea. to maybe give them some more frames, because I would like to overwinter them as a single so we can see what it's like overwintering singles in Michigan together. If I can keep them held back long enough. It looks like at the rate they're going, they could potentially start moving towards wanting to swarm in September, and we definitely do not want that. Yeah, they're building this out beautifully. I love this. So Jenny, if you guys remember, is one of the hives that we plugged one of our queens in. So the nucs this year, some of them built up faster than others once they came out of the winter, and we were able to put another story back on top of them for them to build up into. And some of them we were able to just drop that top box down after we pulled the nuc out in the queen and put a grafted queen cell into the nuc so that it could just start going, and that's how we started a lot of our hives this year. And this was one of them, and I'm very happy with how this is looking. So I'm not going to move a whole lot of frames around. They definitely know what they want to do right now, but I do want to put some frames in here for them to continue to work on since they're doing so well. So we're going to take out that feeder frame, move this honey all the way out, move this brood. This is partially started. We're going to put that in there, that right there. So I'm thinking about putting one on the outside here and one on the middle right there, but I have to go get some frames because I do not have any on me at the moment. All right, got 2 frames. Yes, I know it may sound crazy having hives try to build out frames in July, but this has been an odd year. And if we're already starting to get goldenrod, I'm already expecting to have to feed this year. But if we're about to get goldenrod in the next like 4 weeks at least, because there's 2 different varieties of goldenrod. There's early blooming and there's late blooming. So right now the early blooming is what is popping up. But if we're going to be getting that, then I might as well try to have them build this out, even if I have to feed them this fall. Already planning on it if we're having this early of a full flow anyways. So we'll see what happens. You guys will be able to follow along on that. I do just want to say though, these are the kind of brood patterns that I love to see. And they're all emerging on this side. Gosh, that is beautiful. And see how they space out cells in between. See, there's even a bee right now putting nectar in it. They do that so that they have food for all the baby bees once they come out. That is beautiful. But that is good old Viplodew for you. This is one of her daughters. All right, so Ginny is doing great and she is right on track with where I want her to be. Got a that little cocoon down here is looking fine. Hopefully it comes out soon. I know this has been on there for quite a while now. Okay, so before we go into Gypsy, this was our swarm hive that moved in and just started fixing up the comb. Let's go into the other hive that we were trying to compare to see which one would work better and how we arrange the frames. So in this one I did it a little bit different. So like I said, I did both hives differently. We have brood frames, 1 frame to draw out, brood frames, empty frame on the outside. So we'll see which one ends up drawing out a little bit better than the other. And this hive we conveniently named Star Killer because she killed all of our stars. She moved on in and killed all of our grafting cells in our grafting hive. She was a swarm. We keep having problems with that this year and last year really. We have even tried putting a queen excluder down, but those virgins can just slip right on through the queen excluder no matter what we do. So somebody in the area must have bees, because we even isolated where we have our grafting hive so that it's not in any of our bee yards. It's actually at home with us. Those are the only bees we keep there. And still, somehow bees are finding us. They don't quit. They're relentless. All right, so this one looks a little bit different. So this hive is still doing good, but not quite as built up as the other one. I see that they're not really utilizing these frames at all right here, but they are on these frames. They're still fairly small than what I'd like to see, especially this type of year. They might be best in a 5/5 situation. Bees always tend to, at least what I've noticed, in my experience, bees tend to do better when they're in a situation where they can just move up instead of having to move all the way out. So yeah, let's see what we see. Gosh, maybe all of Viplodu's daughters in this yard are getting cranky that she killed all of their sisters. And maybe that is why they're not doing so good. Maybe they're getting robbed. I don't know. It's not robbing season though. It shouldn't be yet. We still got a little bit of time on that before things start getting crazy. So they're trying to build out this frame. They only have a teeny tiny bit started. You can like barely see it right up there. So we're probably gonna end up moving that frame out so they can utilize all this drawn comb. Oh, and there's our queen too. She is busy laying. Oh boy, I hate when I take eyes off the queen and I lose her. Oh, there she is. Oh, that's the worst spot to be, star killer. Okay, well she is a pretty queen though. I am actually becoming very fond of the queens that are like reddish tinted like that have a red thorax. I don't know what it is about them, but I think they're beautiful. That nice orangish reddish color. I mean, she has a decent brood pattern. She's working on this frame. Apparently she's shy. She doesn't like to be seen, which is fine. Some queens are skittish. Other queens like the camera. They like to be seen. Okay, well, all of these have eggs in the cells. So this side looks fantastic. So the only thing that makes me a little worried about this hive is since they're building up so slow, are they going to be ready for winter? That is the question. Oh yeah. Okay, she's laying. They're about to explode. Something just must have happened to their bee population. This one, if I remember correctly, was a little bit behind in comparison to the other one. When we had put Ginny in her hive, she had a bunch of frames of capped brood, and that already puts them ahead like 3 weeks. Whereas Starkiller only had some open larva frames, so they still had to wait for those to emerge. So it would make sense for why they are exactly where they're at right now. They're doing their best. Oh yeah. Yep, they're doing just fine. So they're just gonna be a couple weeks behind. Remember that whenever you're going into hives in your yard, you notice one has a great brood pattern like this, but they're not quite where the other one is. Oh, she's even laying in this pollen frame. So she wants to lay, but they're not letting her cross that frame over there. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put everything back exactly how it was, except for over here. I'm gonna move in these empty drawn frames so she can instantly start utilizing that, and I'm gonna move that right out there. So I moved the undrawn frame out here so that they have all of these are the frames that they're on. I turned this one around because one side's empty and the other side has pollen and some eggs on it, and I moved in these two frames, which are empty and drawn, for her to start utilizing, because might as well. It looks like she wants to lay, so might as well let her lay. And they're about to have a really good boom, so that's going to help them immensely. All right, so good. So far, we're looking pretty good. This is just proof that you can start hives at the beginning of July and they'll still be ready for winter. Now, you're not necessarily probably going to have that whole entire deep of honey on top of them, but you guys are going to see this year how to overwinter bees that are not in a double story deep. That's what I usually recommend for new beekeepers, just because you want your bees to survive. You want to learn to walk before you run. That is something that I need to take as advice for myself. But you do need to learn how to walk before you fly. So you want to make sure that you can actually get through winter before you start experimenting with all the other ways to overwinter. Just figure out your methods first, then do all the fun experimenting stuff. So, all right. Now the Gypsy hive. This hive is so fun and I'm super excited to look into it because we had ended up adding a double story last time we were in it, and she has been literally building up this hive at a crazy rate. I guess she decided that she wanted to make it home. Maybe she doesn't want to be a gypsy anymore. Maybe she wants to have her own residence now and kind of like stay in one location. I guess we'll see. Hopefully she stays for the year and all through winter and doesn't try to swarm on us. So let's see what we see when we pop this lid. Ooh, they really got it propolized down. Oh yeah, they're up here. They're checking it out. Not quite built up yet, which that is expected. It's only been 2 weeks. They are a little feisty too, I will say. This hive, this was a swarm, like I said, that just randomly moved into our equipment and started fixing it. And it was actually equipment that had a lot of mouse damage. You guys know what I mean. And they just decided, hey, that's okay. We'll fix it right up and make it ours. So I let them do that because that's exactly what they wanted to do. So they have literally started out from barely anything, and I am so shocked at what they've even done so far this year. Oh my goodness. Okay. It looks like they decided they wanted to stop drawing things out well. Oh, hey, look at that. And there's honey in there. Okay. Okay. Nope, they're getting there. They're building up fast. Really fast. Cool. Ooh, lots more honey. Yeah, they're not happy. They're like, hey, that's our honey for the winter. Why are you touching it? I know, guys. I know you're not used to being worked, but you guys moved into this box, and I'm now your beekeeper. You guys adopted me. I adopted you. So you guys gotta deal with it. I'm nice. I will help you guys survive. I actually had somebody ask me when they found out that I was a beekeeper if I ever talked to my hives. Yep, I'm crazy. I talk to my hives, but I know I'm not the only one. Do any of you guys talk to your hives too? They're just so cute. It's hard not to. It's like talking to your dogs. Do you talk to your dogs? Yes. So like, what's wrong with talking to your hives? It doesn't make you crazy, right? So one thing that I'm not really a fan of is how they're building out some of these frames. They're building it out in a kind of like aggravating way with how they're making it so thick. See what I mean? How they're building this out really far and interfering with the next frame. So there was this frame right in between them, and because of that frame, they're drawing it out like this. Yep, no, we don't like that. So I'm gonna move this back to this frame that's already drawn out, and I'm just gonna put this frame over here for them to start working on the correct way. Hopefully they actually do that. But they have some nice, beautiful brood up there. It looks like this one right here is a brood frame too. Take a look at it before we peek in the bottom box. Oh, they're turning it into a honey frame though. They're trying to kick her out. They're waiting for all of it to emerge. Same with right there. See how they have nectar all around it. They're not letting her lay in it anymore. They're turning this into their honey box for the winter. And they sure are good collectors. But I have no idea where they came from. They just appeared one day. They were actually in here for a while before we even knew that they were in here. They're just like, oh hey. Yeah, I know, you guys are getting feisty. Okay, let me put this down. Like I said, they don't like being worked. I don't think they're used to it. They came from a tree or somewhere. Alright, and I still have a frame behind me I have to fit in here. But this frame is being downright annoying. Look at that. That is beautiful. Exactly what we like to see. Now, I don't like that they are a little feisty. Not really a fan of that. Alright, can you guys calm down enough for me to look at you? I mean, luckily they're the kind that just kind of like bounce off you constantly. They're not actually latching onto me to try to sting me, which I like, but why are they so feisty? Sometimes you have, oh gosh, now they're all trying to crawl up my pants. Yeah, we ain't having that. Nothing I hate more than having bee stings on my ankles. That's why I wear boots. That looks really good. It's all emerging right now. We have some baby bees coming out up there. Let's see, where'd they go? They're right up here at the top. See them? Go, baby bee, go! Looks like she's back laying on this side. Also, I just want to mention that BR51 is still 100% treatment free. This is where we push the boundaries in terms of queen breeding. Look at that. So this is where we do all of our experiments. Well, I should say this is where Casey does his experiments. He is our master queen breeder. And I've been pulling him away from it for the last couple of years. So he's going to focus on queen breeding for a while. I'm going to manage all of the rest of the yards. Look at that. My gosh. Okay, this swarm is some amazing genetics. I am very pleased with her. Like, you can't be disappointed with something like this. There's nothing like, wow. It's just brood on brood on brood on brood. We're going to be keeping her around for a while. It's going to be cool to see how she overwinters. Because if she overwinters well, and once we do a mite check on her, she might end up being one of our breeders. As long as we can get some of this aggressiveness out of her though. That is something I don't like. We don't tolerate aggressive bees. We actually have had many of our nuke customers comment on how gentle our bees are. That is something Casey takes pride in. I mean, you guys see him, he doesn't even wear a suit, so if he has to wear a suit in his yard, he doesn't want those bees. Which is understandable. I get that fully. Alright. I'm going to put them back exactly how they were, because they have a plan for their hive and I want them to keep doing it. I don't want to get in the way of that. So they're looking great. A little feisty, but they're gypsies. They're not from around here. They just moved in and they're thinking maybe they'll make this their permanent home. We'll see. We can only hope. Okay, now I have to tell you guys a sad story. So if you guys remember Runaway Bride, she is a bee that was a swarm that we caught, and she just so happened to make one of our boxes her home, and it was good enough for her. Well, until she decided that she wanted to swarm out of it. So we caught her last minute and coerced her into making a new nuke box her home. Well, she was never the same after that. And she is now in bee heaven. This is the hive that I was pulling out frames, noticed that they had EFB, and accidentally squished one of their queens. Which is fine. It is what it is. We also do not like genetics that are more prone to things like that. Now, I know EFB is caused by nutritional stress, but then that is also something, in my opinion, on the bees. We have never had problems with EFB before. Maybe it was just a bad year, but anytime we see EFB, we've always requeened, at least this year. And so far, the hives are looking much, much, much better. So Runaway Bride is now gone. Her queen cell failed after I killed the queen on accident. And that's okay. It is what it is. That's what happens when it comes to bees. She actually did end up going full laying worker, but the reason it's empty is because Casey, the moment he saw they were going laying worker, he took out the frames and gave them to hives so they could fix them. Otherwise, laying worker will completely destroy your comb. So she got combined with other hives to make them strong. But, okay, we now have a new hive that we're bringing into the mix. And I don't have a name for her yet. This is a hive that Ryan from Hooterville Honey insisted on me bringing home with me. He sent me home with some brood frames and some queens to try out of his Latshaw queens. He gets Latshaw F1 queens. I've never ever tried a Latshaw queen before, so it's gonna be cool to see how they how they do. But when I was going through his hives helping him make those splits, they have some really nice brood patterns, so it's going to be interesting seeing that. Now, one thing we're doing different with this hive is we are going to put them in a 5/5 setup. We don't have a whole lot of comb right now that we can give a hive for them to utilize. Unfortunately, we've already used up all of our comb. All we have is empty foundation frames. So we have to make do with what we got, you know? So we're going to put them in a 5/5 and see if they can build out any frames, see if we can get them to start drawing comb. They do have a lot of brood in there. So let's figure out which box we want to make theirs. I built these boxes, and in all honesty, I hate them. Water leaks through the cracks. They're kind of falling apart. It was my first time ever cutting wood and building things. I didn't cut things the right direction according to the grain. So it is what it is. It was a learning lesson. We still utilize them, but for wintering, I prefer to have them in these style boxes instead, just for my own peace of mind, because no water will leak into those. So that's what we're going to use, and we're going to use this with this lid. It looks like we're going to have to start building some lids soon, but that's okay. And I do have some extra frames. I did find, gosh, I think I have 3 frames that are partially drawn that I'm going to give to her. So she is going to be off to the best start she possibly can. That is the goal. And it looks like she was released. Our queen cage has no more candy in it. So we're gonna see if we can find her in here, make sure she's doing her thing. We're probably not gonna see any eggs yet. When you have a queen in a queen cell, it takes them a couple days to get back up to weight and start laying again. So when introducing queens, I like to go around and try to find her to make sure that she actually survived. They didn't kill her. You definitely don't want that. Alright, so no queen on that, but we do have brood on that frame. Oh, this is one of his medium frames. So I'm actually going to steal this from him, because this is actually an amazing way of thinking. Oh, found her. Ooh, she is pretty. Look at how striped she is. She has like a nice little tiger stripe, and it looks like there's a little egg already starting to stick out of her butt. She's a little skinny. She's like gained a little bit more weight. I like that she has a green dot, because now we're gonna be able to find her easier. She's a little shy still. She's walking around her hive trying to figure out, okay, where do I need to start laying? What does my hive look like? How is it arranged? How's everything laid out? She looks beautiful. I love striped queens like that. But see how this is a medium frame? So he does this because they'll typically end up drawing out drone brood right here in this empty spot. And then you can just cut that out as like a way of like cutting back your mites. I also love to see this because it just shows not everything has to be perfect in your hive. They're bees. So you can have medium frames dispersed in there where they end up drawing out like this. It's not the end of the world. Alright, so we're going to make sure we put her in here nice and safely. Some of our other bees. So pretty much all of these frames, except for 2, have capped brood. Woo! Look at that! Look at that frame. Wow. That's amazing. Alright, so we're going to slide this one right in here in the end. And then we have one medium frame as a honey frame for them to use. Put that on the outside. And this was an empty frame for her to start laying in. I'm gonna go ahead and leave this one down here. I want her to start laying and get situated before I move any frames, so I'm not gonna do anything about that yet. But I am going to give them their second box, so at least they know that they have it once all of these bees start emerging, because this hive is going to triple in size because of all those brood frames. And I did bring one extra honey frame for them to utilize too, just because they're coming into a yard that's already pretty much established. And they have no idea where things are. And they might have to build out some combs, so I just want to make sure they are set up the best way possible. Got a partially drawn frame. See what I mean by partially drawn? Mouse damage. We need to do something for the mice this year, that's for sure. And then we have 2 frames that they're going to have to draw out that we're putting over here at the end. Alright, so those are our hives that we're going to be following for the rest of the year. What do you guys think we should name her? I was just going to call her Hooterville because that's the name of his beekeeping company. Or we can call him Ladshaw. What do you guys think we should name this hive? There is one more thing that I do want to show you guys. So do you guys remember when we made up these nucs? I'll put the date that we made.